So welcome back guys to some SCPH replays going on. This is going to be game number 2 from our live session here on the January of the 14th, 2020. I'm actually looking to basically do this on a more regular basis since we got so busy with the project with that pretty big backlog, but at the same time I would love to get more and more people hopping into the SCPH train to actually send in their replays. So maybe I'll have a designated day per week for some StarCraft 2 action just to get some replays going. And who knows, I might look to expand it to the whole Southeast Asia to begin with. But first things first, you know, you gotta love your own community, and I really still want to focus on whatever the PH has to offer. But in the meantime, let's start things off with some introductions. Here on the top left, let's do the twisty thing. How do people do the twisty thing? It's delete, and it's not print screen. Oh my god, it's not print screen. And insert. Oh, it's just one button for me. This is the Red Terran. That is Paul. Cue the music. Dun, 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 dun. Cringe though. Cringe. And all his opponents. On the bottom right, it is gonna be the Blue Zerg. That is joypop. So what is the point of twisting? I really don't understand. I see everyone do it. Every production does it. And there's no point. You zoom, you twist, you lick, you dunk. It's an Oreo. But here we are in Ephemeron, and honestly one of my favorite maps in the map pool. We have seen it for a long time already. It's been months since we had this map on to play on, to enjoy to begin with. But the thing about Ephemeron is that the middle ground, the bridges, some interesting chokes in the middle. In the meantime, playing defensive is okay because you have these ramps all the way, especially onto that natural. In the meantime, when you get to that third base, it becomes more and more of an even ground fight because you get more and more space given to your opponents unless you actually go for that fourth and contest here. So it does promote some expansions just to keep your lines more secure in terms of those positions. But in the meantime, in the front line, or we can say in the main base actually, Paul can be already having that orbit command with that mule to go. In the meantime, did he go for that Reaper? Yes, he is going to be sending that one off in the first place. In the meantime, let's just get a little bit of our hotkeys going. It's going to be seeing what base is where to begin with. And as a player, I'm looking to actually use those camera hotkeys. Beautiful movement though from joypop. Gonna be able to save that drone, turning it into hatchery at the nick of time. But these are free Zerglings being given here and now by joypop to Paul. Queen gonna get in position. The Reaper already with 1 kill. Should have some good scouting information. And the question here and now here for Paul, will he be able to get the scout on? Because the Queen in position to just mitigate any of this movement. Paul in the meantime looking for an opportunity to fly on out and finally is able to do so. So in behind all of this, the drone can be a witness to the Zerglings dying after they're trying to take care of the unbuildable plates. In the meantime, Queen trying to go for the hamper yet again. Pincer attack here and now. Can the Reaper stay alive? 6 HP and the dream is still going. Anyway though, interesting first upgrade here from joypop. He will go for the metabolic boost as standard, but we'll get into Carapace very early. It is 100 now, so it isn't as cheap as it was before on the third base scenario as well. So he might be looking to use these overlords to get some scouting information, to get some vision, or maybe go for some bailing jobs to be peskier and peskier. In the meantime, we are going to have a pretty even economy to say the least. Of course, Paul will be behind, doesn't have too many workers for his second base. But of course, the mules can be a mitigating factor, boost that up to be able to get in line basically with the Zerg to begin with. Still, joypop with the slight advantage, 6 workers still can make a difference to begin with. In the meantime, of course, our Zerg going off for a hot start. Joypop in the meantime going to be exploding that speed already, will be sending that out. But Paul will be playing standard, sends in that Viking, will want to clean up all that supply in to go. But in the meantime, in the back line, onto that natural, beautiful attack here, and now from Paul. But joypop gonna be able to get an even better surround. And in the end, even though joypop has lost how many workers? 5 workers in that last fight. He was able to mitigate all those Hellions. That is enough of a takedown to stop Paul in his tracks. But we are going to go for a potential DC rush already. Fusion core in behind. Yes, battlecruiser being built. But will joypop be able to spot this? That's the real question. Oh, he already saw that something was in production. Did he be able to get a click on it? That's the real question. As here and now, Paul will be exposed. His strategy has been blown. In the meantime though, the supply depot not put down, and the Hellions Just watching the supply people on the low ground just die in the first place. Mules now sent on into the natural. SCVs are there as well. In the meantime, the exposition there, just joypop getting the proper scout on. And it seems like we are gonna get a game, because if that Battle Cruiser wasn't scouted out rather, if these Spore Crawlers weren't ready, if these Queens weren't in position, it is gonna be a ship just flying in the air, taking everything down. Remember though, tactical jump, that 1 second stun, self-stun rather, onto the BC itself, allows so much more response time to begin with. And you call it cringe, but I'm really asking you guys, why is there that twist? Why does everything need to be an Oreo? In the meantime though, Hellions being sent in yet again, Roach Warren in production, gonna be that Lair Tech as well. And joypop looking to move into tier 2, gonna be playing that ground game. Roach Ravager always so potent. Still the Queens, gets a poke onto the Hellions. Viking in the meantime, already 7 kills up in the air, will be going for that 8 balloon. And really is just a needle, getting the poke as much as possible. Still though, BC now onto that natural, only has gotten 3 kills so far, and has turned into the hunt of the Overlords. Unfortunately for Paul, he doesn't have Yamato cannon as of yet, so can't really snipe a Queen or 2. He will decide to go for it, and another BC in production. Paul looking heavy into the investment in terms of that high tier tech, and he will want to go for the third, using the command center as a temporary stopping point to begin with. That SCV though caught between the food pantry and the food supply. He has to be punished for gluttony, that's for sure. And overall, it's gonna be a lull in the storm. joypop able to answer so many of Paul's openings, or Paul's attacks to begin with. Able to stop the BCs, able to stop the Hellions, and this has been a really solid defense here from our Zerg player. And behind all of that, he hasn't really been slipping on the macro, having such a good economy to begin with, as well as he's juggling some more workers into the fray. 3-base scenario though will be evening up with Paul, and in the meantime we saw a Zergling yet again try to get the scouting information, and into the fort we go. So basically here for joypop, he's just really waiting for the cues from Paul to begin with. As soon as he saw the command center, tried to move on that, he went for that forest base. He wants to keep ahead as much as possible. Paul in the meantime, already transitioning into more workers, so this will give joypop a little bit of time to build something else. Seems like though our Zerg player really is the type to go into tech with over units at the starting points. As in the meantime, there we go with the scan already. Basically, joypop trying to protect these creep chomers to begin with. And we do see Paul looking to mop up the floor. Doesn't want to give too much ground against the Zerg to begin with. The Evo Chambers up and running. Neither of them getting any upgrades to begin with. Finally though, +1 onto the range. And Larva being tossed out into the wind yet again. Even going for the proxy hatch, which is very interesting. joypop could have gone for a 5th base as well, but it seems like he wants to play it more safe, as the Hellions in a big number means that there's going to be lots of hit and runs against these drones overall into the game. But anyway, we know finally SimCity being built here and now by our boy Paul. He will be going into a mech-based structure, has given up on the BCs to begin with, but he still has them to provide some support, to provide a little bit of this action, as well as harassment. Yamana Cannon now will be able to take care of 2 Queen's Transfusion there, try to keep that one alive, and Paul able to take care of the Queen Brigade. Now this looks really dire here for joypop, made a big mistake allowing all of those Queens to die in the first place. Roaches in the meantime surrounding these Hellions, no transformation into the Hellbat whatsoever as of yet. And there you go, joypop yet again winning the ground game with a solid surround. But what about the air? What about the things up into the skyline as 3 BCs flying on yet again? We are going to see +1 here and now for our Terran players as well. +1 vehicles, as well as that plating. Blue fire, so potent against so many things. Extra damage, especially against those drones. And it seems like the balance of the game has really shifted. Paul able to get some instrumental attack, honestly, taking care of that base, taking care of those queens. In the meantime, the Hellions is able to get the attention of the Roaches as well. And all looks good here for Paul. He's now ahead in terms of that economy, even on the army, which means that he doesn't need to keep producing in that aspect to be able to keep up to begin with. I think about Paul, I like the plan that he's going for. He will be going into mech play. does mean he will have tankier units. Hellbats now being built in as the armory is set up. And we have siege tanks in position as well. Creeping barrage might be the answer. A lot of corruptors in the air as well. And we'll see if the BCs can keep alive, because those acid spores aren't going to connect. But in the meantime, those siege tanks just cooking up the ground. And joypop, sure, winning the air game this time, but the ground game completely obliterated here from our blue Zerg. And Paul right now in a such solid spots, even though he is down on that upgrades. Good timing there from joypop to actually go for it. It's still not enough. Corruptors right now taking care of the orbital command. We'll be going for the corruption. We'll take this down as soon as we get this a quicker channel. It seems like the acid is enough. The SCV is backing on out as well. We'll be looking to transition into another base. An interesting positioning here is supply depots, providing so much cover here for Paul. Command center now going back to the main. Going back onto that natural here for the Zerg. It's just another attack. So far so good here for Paul. He lost the BC, sure, but he has gotten how much value, has gotten so many frags onto those workers. And by this point in time, he can't really respect joypop and his army. He is down in army supply, and 11 corruptors do take a good chunk of it to begin with. In the meantime though, the corruptors not trying to get in behind. Here we go yet again with the corruption. Orbital command looking to lift on up. Here we go with the repair as well. But overall, this is going to be Paul looking to just brave the frontiers, brave the junkles against the Zerg. And joypop forced back on now, so we'll be trying to find an opportunity or two to get some takedowns. In the meantime, here we go with the attack onto the 4th base. And things look really dire here for our blue Zerg. He is in such a spot of trouble. He's only building 4 roaches in behind this. And if he loses his next fight, that has to be game over, man, and game over as well. Still though, the roaches now going for that natural. Will we get another base race scenario into our session? That's going to be the real question. As the corruptors channeling their ability one more time. Here we go though with the major engagement. Siege tanks looking to siege on in. Beautiful piles here and now. And good damage done on the both sides. But this is going to be Paul having the advantage yet again. Cyclones by the ramp taking care of all of that jazz. And even if the natural wall is falling on down, as well as these supply depots, Paul doesn't really care. He has all his important units on the high ground. Siege tanks are there as well. And the SCV is being paid overtime to go for that long distance mining. Hellbats now into the fold yet again. They'll be trying to brawl as much as possible, marching forward, looking to cook up as many drones as possible. And yeah, the natural will fall here and now. Same thing though, gonna be a pseudo base race scenario. joypop has given up defending, will decide to go for the attack, especially with these corruptors. Now the real question is, how will Paul respond? He doesn't really have much racks. He only has 1, so he can't really rely on going for an anti-air composition from the ground. If he does build in the starport, whatever spawns against those corruptors will immediately fall. So maybe it might be time for Paul to actually just decide to go for the base race. The corruptors only have that ability, can't really attack on the ground. And in the meantime, here we go with joypop yet again, sending in a few more units. Siege tanks do fall, sure. But we also have a brigade waiting on at the wings. Here we go yet again, SCVs being pulled. We'll be going for another fantastical journey. Corruptors in the meantime just looking for these command centers as much as possible, making sure that Paul will be in a position that, sure, he has the work advantage, but he's not getting much economy because there's nowhere to actually send things over. Zerg Exile gonna be going for an epic sacrifice, will be dying for the cause, but has waited out and bailed out some time here for our Zerg player. And in behind all of this, joypop gonna change things up. It's gonna be Muleless, gonna be rallying things up. 8 of them already into the fold, 3 of them still coming, and we'll see if Paul can actually respond to this in kind. Sure, the Muleless aren't as potent as you would say against army units, but they will be able to pack a punch in a good number. Cyclones in the meantime, aping on up, we'll get those takedowns, and into the main base we go. Hellbats still out in front. Good thing about them is they're quite tanky. Able to take the damage there, stall for time. Tell the Cyclones to get back in position. Here we go with the lock-on yet again. Siege tanks right now looking for the base race scenario. Not sieging up though for some weird reason, because in behind, Corruptor still flying up in the air. Muleless right now, still staying on. Here we go with the attack in behind. Gonna be taking care of the Hellbats first perhaps. Just clean up those workers, clean up those anti-workers along the way. Next on the agenda, siege tanks now on a one-way trip. Going for the Spire first. Gonna be a beautiful pick-off, especially in terms of that technology. And in the meantime, here we go with this round. The drone's gonna get pulled to go for the attack yet again. Corruption one more time. And here we go with the revelation already. Joypop does not have any hatcheries to go. And this is so difficult here and now for our Zerg player. Although, only 3 army actually has 51 workers, and seems like this is an opportunity here for Joypop. If he's able to get the proper attack, that might be the show. Factory though, getting hampered by the corruption. And Paul is desperate to get that door going, but he only has 51 supply to work with, 55 using 54 already. And here comes the Mutas yet again. This time, this will take them a little more time. The Mutas, of course, trying to get some DPS going, but they don't really have the best against buildings to begin with. The beautiful snipes, honestly, takes care of supply depots, makes Paul's problems even harder and higher. And right here, right now, it's the Hero Cyclone to begin with. Gonna be marching around to take care of as many buildings as possible. Gets a lock on, takes care of the Attractor, and that should be rinse repeats. Now the real question is, what will Joypop be able to do with those 250 minerals? He can build even more and more Extractors for the cause, buy some time for himself, and then take care of the main base. It seems like the work count isn't just gonna be a factor here right now, because Paul unable to really use more than one base in this scenario. Factory now will go down. Milner is giving chase against the SCVs yet again. Missile turrets though fending those off, and that is a big mistake here and now from Joypop. He's trying to fight the missile turrets as much as possible, but he's hesitating. Not letting the Corruptors get the damage done first. Here we go with the repair already. And Joypop in a spot of trouble. He only has 6 of these mules flying on yet again. Corruption right here, right now, onto those MTs. Overall, the mule is now turning into 4. Ensure the Corruptors can be a tanky target, but every single time Paul can be cheeky with missile turrets, it might be the show. As close as can be, yet again, it's another base race, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway though, Widow Mines might be the answer here and now. And where will the lock on go? Huge hits! Gonna be able to get some good DPS onto those Corruptors already. Mulas in the meantime going to the north hand side. The refineries will be around. Thor is here and now. Finally Paul given the opportunity to create something new and something beautiful. And this time go for as much anti-air as possible. Mulas don't need to stay alive. Will Paul turn things around? Finally finds the targets. Will take care of one. Going for the second. The rockets connect. And does our friend Joypop have any way to deal with anything in the ground? That one roach might be a hero, but the Corruptor is turning into mush. Gonna be one of them going down yet again. It seems like Paul doesn't want swap modes. Go for the cannon shots. As soon as this Corruptor fall, GG is called. And Paul will take that win. Seems like it really was just destined by the start. It was pretty close though. Joypop able to really find some use for the Corruptors to begin with. But yet again, we always see this from a Zerg player. They overcommit in making Corruptors, and they don't really have the proper tech to turn them into Broodlords later on. So yeah, pretty much a problem there for many to begin with. But I love the read there from Paul. He realized so many Corruptors were coming his way. And then he decided, let's get into mech. They're gonna be pretty potent. Cyclones can move for some anti-air. While you get the Taurus, that is gonna be solid AoE to begin with. And staying with quality, the mech play there. And then from Paul, allowing him to take the W. He knew though he was on borrowed time against those Mulas, but he just never gave up, never surrendered. Get as much damage done as possible. Prevent the Spine from creating more units to begin with. And that was the show. So well done there to both of our players. Paul gonna take that win and another base race, guys, that we gotten in a row. We'll see what's gonna be up in store for our next game. Tune in to find out.